Welcome to SpacePod. What is this all about? Well, in these uncertain times, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, the world of space, or more accurately, workspace, is going through change. So, SpacePod's a chance to grab some time while people are working from home from professionals across the industry, partners, colleagues, customers, and thought leaders to share their personal views of the change event going on around us. Let's get started. Welcome to SpacePod, a place for like-minded people to pop along, have a chat, share their views on the impact on space and whatever that means to them and their business. My name is Paul Russell. I work for IBM in the AI and applications business. And I'm really curious about how space around us helps the human being have a better day. So join with me today. I have Paul Gatlin from IBM. Welcome, Paul G.
Hello, Paul. So it's great to be here on the second SpacePod.
Thanks, Paul. And I'm also joined by Melanie Mack, Head of Corporate Real Estate Technology for EMEA at JLL.
Hi, Paul. Yes, thanks so much for inviting me, and always appreciate to have a conversation with both you and Paul G.
Thanks, Mel. So before we start, we need that little disclaimer that anyone that contributes to SpacePod, it's their opinion only, and it's not representative of their company or official strategy. So Mel and I have agreed that's okay. Mel, just to get started, we always ask our guests where they are in the world. So can you share your location, please?
Sure. So right now I'm currently in Spain, which is a very interesting and sympathetic place to be in our current COVID situation. And as a American, having worked in EMEA for several years now, it's quite interesting to try and be supportive of the local culture and the local businesses and see how we can continue to support the economy through any of our initiatives with our CRE technology.
Great. So Mel, the idea behind SpacePod is to create a conversation with people in the industry like you who have a good, interesting point of view. So for this episode, I wanted to frame the chat around the top issues on the mind of the real estate industry. Let's get stuck in by asking you about your customers, and from a business and real estate perspective, I'm curious to know what is keeping them awake at night during these unprecedented times.
I think, like most companies and most customers, everybody is just concerned about A, the welfare of their employees, B, what is the state of business going to look like, or what is the state of business currently, and any reforecasting activities that need to go on at this point. And then C, what does the world of corporate real estate look like when we come out of this? As JLL, we have an independent research team within our organization, and they do some pretty fantastic work. And one of the things that I really appreciate is the fact that at the end of the research webinars that they hold for us internally, they always try and end on a positive note in terms of some of the industries that they think will recover quickly and maybe what that curve will look like. And obviously, it's changing on a day-to-day situation, but our customers are concerned about, I think, the same thing that we're concerned between Paul G and Paul Russell and myself, just making sure that our employees are taken care of and that their well-being is accommodated while everybody is at home with their spouses and children and still trying to work.
Thanks, Mel. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Every organization I'm talking to are really putting a people-first approach right now. We have another question, which I'm going to hand over to Paul G.
What I'd really like to ask you now is, what are JLL doing to help their customers with their return to work plans?
We're still seeing quite a lot of interest in CRE technology at the moment, and obviously it fits really well into the topic of the conversation as a space pod, because we're seeing interest, obviously, in CRE space. So what are clients going to do in terms of space optimization, whether it's within their real estate portfolio, in terms of identifying cost savings initiative once we're able to all get back into the office, and then also identifying ways that we can still support our employees' well-being by creating an environment that makes them feel comfortable to return back to work. So whether that's looking at how we manage with social distancing parameters, or ensuring our employees that we have adequate maintenance plans in place, whether it's through our FM services or just generally looking at how we structure room booking, desk booking, where our employees can sit, and just giving them peace of mind and helping to take our clients on that journey as well, that when we do return to the workforce, it's been a thought out approach, and it's an environment that provides them safety against our current situation with COVID, and B, it allows them to have that social interaction after being in their homes many months on whatever type of quarantine we're currently in.
There is a lot going on, isn't there? As we think about the next few weeks and more longer term, it seems, Mel, that you are firmly in a people first position, which I think is what we see everywhere, and that return to work strategies will be looking at a balance of safety and productivity.
I think it's going, first and foremost, we need to consider, as I said earlier, well-being. So I could imagine that a lot of employees are going to be concerned about their personal health and safety when coming back to work. So by looking at ways that we can help schedule work patterns and work shifts and working habits, more importantly, of employees when they come back to work, I think would be at the top of most companies and employers' mind, so that we can really give people peace of mind that when they return back to work, they have this safe and clean environment. And I think it'll be really interesting for the three of us and hopefully our audience to see, what does this look like? What does the return to work look like? Are individuals going and companies going to be more comfortable working remote because we've had this really kind of global initiated experience supported by working from home technologies? Or are people going to be more excited and have more initiative to get into the office, having been at home with children and spouses, and not a whole lot of autonomy over what their workday looks like? So just really kind of going back to basics and providing that well-being approach for peace of mind in terms of health and safety, and identifying what does that mean. So we're just going back again to some of those points I said earlier in terms of looking at how we structure the space that we're currently sitting in, and what does that mean in terms of working patterns for people. So it could include staggering of arrival times or leaving times to support, specifically in London, helping to really kind of prioritize shift patterns so that they have the opportunity to have modes of transportation that are less occupied.
Yeah, great points, Mel. And you're reinforcing the human-centric side of the strategies that people are thinking about. Really good. The journey to work suddenly is going to become a really interesting point for facility, real estate planners, HR directors, because suddenly they're more interested in how their staff get to work. I think that's an excellent point. And I'm intrigued and curious about how technology is going to help that really fly, because there's some great technology, as we all know, but it's just got to be used appropriately, and we've got to do sensible things with the data. So thank you for that. Paul, whether you wanted to just come in as we come towards the end of the podcast, just any supplementary thoughts you may have.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I was very intrigued about was Mel mentioned in her previous answer there was around the staggering of people coming back to work. So, Mel, does that mean you would have, like a group of people on a Monday and a different group on a Tuesday? Was it be that sort of thing?
It could be, and I think this draws really nicely back to space topic, because once you understand the utilization, or if you already have those metrics available, you can identify, based on social distancing parameters, really the occupancy level that you can have on a floor or in a building, and whether your maintenance policies or FM teams can accommodate that occupancy level. And that's where I think that it's really interesting. I've been in CRE technology for about 8 years now, but I feel as though the relevance of our current technology has never really been more important, without a shameless plug there, because it really will help clients with their current technology. These are all potentially options that they can use within their current platforms, understand how their space was utilized, how does their space need to be modified and or utilized moving forward to accommodate a lot of these kind of initiatives we talked about earlier, and then what does that look like? And I think first and foremost, identifying the space utilization and potentially FM services or maintenance requirements will dictate probably the shift patterns.
That sounds really interesting, Mel. And obviously one of the key things is you've got to make it an environment where people want to come back to work.
Exactly.
Brilliant points again, and I'm sure it'll all come down to behavioral change and how technology can be the nudge to change how we use our buildings and workspaces in the future. This is great stuff and exactly what SpacePod's all about. It's all about getting from the trenches view, like yours, Mel, of what the impacts on space is looking like, not just because of the current situation we're in, but also the natural progression of how we view space and the way we as humans interact to get the best experience for what we need. Right, we said this would be a short and hopefully punchy episode. So let me say a huge thank you to you, Mel, for your time and contribution. And whilst you're in Spain, I realise you can't get out. Sorry for that. That wasn't a friendly thing for me to say, Mel.
Okay, I forgive you, Paul.
But fingers crossed that the weather and the lockdown will be released soon, so we'll be able to get some proper sun rays. Paul and I will just get used to the rain and cloud anyway. And of course, Paul G, my SpacePod buddy, I'd like to thank you as well. And to anyone listening, if you like SpacePod and want to join Paul and I on a future podcast or just want to connect via LinkedIn, please do so. You've been listening to SpacePod. Please stay safe.